I just found out my dead husband has actually been alive for 7 years, living with another family in a town 3 hours away. He has 2 more kids, and they have no idea I exist. My children think I'm making it up. When I found out why he faked his death, everything made horrifying sense. I, 42F, am writing this from my car because I physically cannot be in my house right now. My hands are shaking so badly, I can barely type. I found out something 3 days ago that has completely destroyed my understanding of reality, and I have no idea what to do. 7 years ago, my husband David, then 38M, died in a hiking accident. He went on a solo camping trip to a remote area, and when he didn't come home after 5 days, I reported him missing. Search and rescue found his car at a trailhead, some of his gear scattered near a cliff edge, but no body. After months of searching, he was declared legally dead. I was devastated. We'd been married for 12 years. We had 2 kids, Emma, now 16F, and Josh, now 14M. David was a good husband, a great father. Our family was happy, or so I thought. The life insurance payout was small, just $50,000 from a basic policy through his work. It helped, but it wasn't huge. I went back to work full-time. We downsized our house. We struggled, but we survived. The kids went to therapy. I went to therapy. We grieved. We slowly, painfully, built a new life. I never remarried. I went on a few dates over the years, but nothing serious. Part of me felt like I was still married to David's memory. 3 days ago, that all shattered. I was at the grocery store in a town about 3 hours from where we live. I was there for my best friend's baby shower. She lives in that area now. I'm standing in the checkout line and I see him, David, my dead husband, alive, pushing a shopping cart with a little boy, maybe 5 years old, sitting in it and holding hands with a little girl, maybe 3 years old. I thought I was hallucinating. I literally froze. My friend had to shake me and ask if I was okay. I pointed and whispered, "That's David." She looked at me like I was crazy. She'd seen photos of David at his funeral, at our wedding. She looked at the man and said, that really looks like him. But it can't be, right? The man, David, turned slightly, and I saw his face fully. It was him. Same scar on his eyebrow from a childhood accident. Same distinctive birthmark on his neck. Same walk. Same everything. I abandoned my cart and followed him. My friend tried to stop me, but I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just followed him. He loaded the kids into a car, and I watched him drive away. I got his license plate number. I had a full panic attack in the parking lot. My friend drove me back to her place, and I told her everything, showed her wedding photos, death certificate, everything. She was as shocked as I was. I couldn't go home. I couldn't face my kids. I stayed at her place that night, and the next day, I hired a private investigator. I gave him the license plate, the photos, everything. Reddit. It took him less than 24 hours to confirm it. David is alive. He lives in that town under the name Michael Davidson. Creative, right? He's been living there for 7 years. He's married to a woman named Shannon, 32F. They have 2 kids together, a 5-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. The ones I saw at the grocery store. He works as an accountant at a local firm. He coaches his son's soccer team. He goes to PTA meetings. He has a whole life. The PI found his social media under the fake name. Photos going back 6 years. Him with Shannon. Him with the kids. Family vacations. Birthday parties. Holiday cards. A completely normal, happy family. Shannon's Facebook is public. In her About section, it says, "Married to the love of my life, Michael, for 6 years. 6 years. He married her a year after he died. There are no photos of me. No mention of Emma or Josh. We don't exist in his new life. I drove back to that town yesterday. I sat outside his house for 2 hours. I watched him come home from work. Watched him play in the yard with his kids. Watched Shannon kiss him hello. I watched him be a husband and father to a family that isn't supposed to exist. I wanted to march up to the door. I wanted to scream. I wanted answers. But I couldn't move. I just sat there crying until a neighbor started looking at me suspiciously, and I drove away. I came home last night. Emma and Josh were at my sister's house. They'd been staying there while I was away for the weekend. I picked them up and I told them. They don't believe me. Emma said I'm having a breakdown and need to go back to therapy. Josh said I probably saw someone who looked like Dad, and my grief is making me see things. They both got upset with me for bringing this up and reopening old wounds. I showed them the PI report, the photos. Emma looked at them and said, "This doesn't prove anything. Lots of people look similar." Josh wouldn't even look. He said, "Dad is dead. Stop trying to make up crazy stories. They think I've lost my mind. They're texting my sister asking if I'm okay. My sister called me worried, asking if I need to be hospitalized. I feel like I'm going insane. but I know what I saw. I know what the PI confirmed. This is real. I contacted a lawyer this morning. He's reviewing everything. He says if it's true, David committed fraud, insurance fraud, identity fraud, possibly bigamy depending on when he married Shannon. He could face serious criminal charges. But here's what's been eating at me. Why? Why would he do this? We were happy. He loved the kids. We had a good life. What could possibly make someone abandon their entire family and fake their own death? So I had the PI dig deeper. And what he found, Reddit, I wish I didn't know. 3 months before David died, he was being investigated by the IRS. He had been embezzling money from his employer, a small family-owned business where he was the head accountant. He'd stolen over $200,000 over 3 years. His boss discovered it and reported him. David was facing federal charges, prison time, financial ruin. He would have lost everything, his job, his reputation, possibly his family. He chose to lose us on his own terms instead. The PI found evidence that David had been planning the disappearance for months. He'd been putting money into offshore accounts. He'd been establishing his new identity. The hiking trip was the execution of his exit plan. He let me think he was dead. He let his children think they'd lost their father. He let us grieve and struggle and rebuild our lives from nothing, all while he was 3 hours away playing happy family with someone new. The $50,000 life insurance? That's what I used to survive while raising his kids alone. Meanwhile, he had $200,000 plus of stolen money starting his new life. Shannon has no idea. The PI confirmed she genuinely believes Michael Davidson is who he says he is. Those kids have no idea their father is a fraud and a criminal living under a stolen identity. I have proof now. Evidence. Documentation. The lawyer says I have multiple options, criminal charges, civil suit, exposing him publicly. But every option destroys lives. If I report him, Shannon's world collapses. Those 2 little kids lose their father just like Emma and Josh did, except they'll find out he's a criminal. Emma and Josh will have to face the fact that their father chose to abandon them, that our whole life was a lie. If I don't report him, he gets away with it. He gets to keep his fake happy life while my kids and I live with the aftermath of his death. He gets to keep the stolen money, the new identity, everything. I don't know what to do. My kids still don't believe me. They're furious that I'm making up stories about Dad. Emma screamed at me this morning that I'm desecrating his memory. I want to drag them to that town and make them see him with their own eyes. But what if that traumatizes them more? What if seeing their dead father alive, with replacement kids, breaks them completely? I haven't eaten in 2 days. I can't sleep. I called out of work. I'm sitting in my car outside my own house because I can't face my children who think I'm delusional. The lawyer wants to meet tomorrow to discuss next steps. The PI has compiled everything into a report. I have a folder full of evidence that my dead husband is alive, and I have no idea what to do with it. Do I report him and destroy multiple families, including my own? Do I confront him first and risk him running again? Do I tell Shannon the truth and blow up her life? Do I somehow prove to my kids that I'm not crazy before taking any action? How do I even begin to process that the man I mourned for 7 years, the man I loved, the father of my children, chose to erase us, chose to steal money and fake his death rather than face consequences, chose to build a new family while his real family suffered? I keep thinking about all the nights Emma cried herself to sleep missing her dad, all the times Josh acted out at school because he was grieving, all the therapy sessions, all the times I struggled to pay bills and put food on the table while David was living comfortably on stolen money with his new wife and kids. I feel sick. I feel betrayed. I feel like my entire adult life was a lie. What do I do? Reddit? Update. 4 days later. I've been reading every single comment. Thank you all for the support and the harsh truths I needed to hear. You're right. This isn't about protecting David or Shannon or anyone else. This is about justice and truth. I met with my lawyer. We're moving forward with multiple actions, filing a police report, contacting the IRS, contacting his original employer about the embezzlement, and pursuing civil action for the money he owes. But before I did any of that, I had to make my kids believe me. Yesterday morning, I told Emma and Josh we were taking a drive. They were resistant, but I insisted. I drove them to David's town, to his house, and I parked across the street. We sat there for 45 minutes. Josh kept asking what we were doing. Emma was on her phone ignoring me. Then David came out. He was walking to his car with his son, clear as day, 20 feet away from us. Josh saw him first. He went completely pale and said, "Mom?" Emma looked up from her phone, and her face just crumbled. We sat there in silence as David loaded his son into the car. He was laughing at something the boy said. He looked happy, carefree, alive. Then Shannon came out with their daughter. She kissed David goodbye. He kissed her back, got in his car, and drove away. Shannon waved, picked up the little girl, and went back inside. The silence in my car was deafening. Emma started hyperventilating. Josh just stared at the house with tears streaming down his face. I drove us to a nearby park, and we all broke down. Emma kept saying, "I don't understand," over and over. Josh threw up in the bushes. I held both of them while they sobbed. For the father they'd lost, for the betrayal they never saw coming, for the grief that now had nowhere to go. We sat in that park for 3 hours. I told them everything, the embezzlement, the fake identity, the timeline of his planning. I showed them the PI report on my phone. Every piece of evidence. Emma asked if he ever loved us. I don't know how to answer that. Josh asked if we did something wrong. That broke me. I told them this had nothing to do with them, that they were perfect kids, and this was David's choice, his failing, his crime. Emma, my strong 16-year-old daughter, looked at me and said, "I want him in prison." We went to the police station together. All 3 of us. We filed a report. We handed over everything, the PI report, documentation, photos, evidence of the embezzlement, proof of insurance fraud, everything. The detective we spoke to was incredible. He took us seriously immediately. He said this is a federal case involving multiple crimes, and he'd be contacting the FBI and IRS. He said David would be arrested likely within the week. When I mentioned Shannon and the kids, the detective's face softened. He said they'd handle it as carefully as possible. But yes, Shannon would find out the truth. Those kids would find out the truth. There was no avoiding it. I asked if I should warn Shannon. He strongly advised against it, warned that David might run again, if tipped off. I agreed to let law enforcement handle it. We left the station, and I took the kids to their therapist for an emergency session. They're going to need intensive therapy. We all are. My kids are devastated, angry, confused, but they believe me now, and they want justice. Today, I got a call from the detective. David was arrested this morning at his office. FBI and local police. He's being charged with insurance fraud, identity fraud, embezzlement, and several other crimes. Shannon was notified. She's apparently in shock. The detective said David didn't go quietly. He tried to claim mistaken identity, that he wasn't who they said he was. Then when they fingerprinted him and confirmed his identity, he broke down and confessed everything. He's in federal custody now. Bail hearing is tomorrow, but the lawyer says he's a flight risk and likely won't get bail. I don't feel victorious. I just feel empty. And sad for those 2 little kids who are about to learn their whole life was built on lies. Emma asked if she could write a victim impact statement. Josh asked if he had to see David at the trial. My lawyer is helping us navigate all of this. The hardest part of me still can't believe it. 7 years of grieving a dead man, only to find out he was alive and chose to stay away, chose a new family, chose to let us suffer while he played house 3 hours away. People have asked if I'm going to confront him. I don't know. What would I even say? What could he possibly say that would make this make sense? My sister has been amazing. My best friend has been amazing. My kids' schools have been notified and are providing support. We're surrounded by people who love us, but we're all broken in a way I don't know how to fix. I'll update when there's more news. Right now, we're just trying to get through each day. Final update. It's been 6 weeks since David's arrest. I'm posting this final update because the major pieces have fallen into place, and I need closure. David pled guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. He's going to federal prison for 8 years. His lawyer tried to get him less time, but the judge was harsh, said the betrayal of his family and his years of deception warranted a significant sentence. At the sentencing hearing, Emma read her victim impact statement. She told the court about losing her father, about her grief, about the years of therapy and struggling. Then she looked directly at David and said, "You let me think you were dead. You let me cry at your funeral. And you were just 3 hours away with new kids. I hope prison gives you time to think about what you destroyed." David cried. He tried to apologize. Emma walked out. Josh didn't make a statement and didn't want to attend. That's his choice, and I support it. I didn't make a statement either. I couldn't. What could I possibly say? Shannon attended the hearing. She sat on the opposite side of the courtroom from us. Our eyes met once. She looked devastated. After the sentencing, she approached me in the hallway. She said, "I'm so sorry. I had no idea. If I'd known," she started crying. "Those poor kids. Your kids. I'm so sorry." I told her none of this was her fault. She was a victim too. She asked if Emma and Josh would ever want to meet their half-siblings. I said I didn't know, that it was up to them when they're ready. She's divorcing David. She moved back to her parents' house with the kids. She's in therapy. Her whole life imploded just like ours did 7 years ago. The embezzled money is being recovered, most of it. David will have to pay restitution to his former employer. I'm pursuing civil damages for what we're owed. The lawyer says we have a strong case. As for my kids, They're in intensive therapy, both individual and family. Emma is angry. She's decided she never wants to see or speak to David again. She took down every photo of him in her room, threw away everything he ever gave her. Josh is quieter about it. He's processing differently. He asked me last week if David ever really loved him. I told him the truth. I don't know. I thought I knew David, but I didn't know him at all. We've had to tell extended family, friends, everyone. The reactions have been everything from shock to disbelief to anger on our behalf. Some people from David's past have reached out with their own stories about weird behavior they noticed before he disappeared. Red flags I never saw. I've started trauma therapy. I'm working through 7 years of grief that now has nowhere to go. I grieved a dead man who was never dead. I mourned a marriage that was already a lie. I don't know how to reconcile the David I loved with the David who did this. A reporter contacted me about doing a story. I declined. This is private. This is our pain, not public entertainment. People keep asking if I have closure. I don't think that's possible. How do you get closure on something like this? My husband faked his death, abandoned his children, stole money, built a new life, and let us suffer for 7 years. There's no tidy ending to that. But I have truth. I have justice. I have my kids. We're broken, but we're together, and we're not living a lie anymore. David will be in prison until Emma is in her mid-20s and Josh is in his early 20s. By the time he gets out, they'll be adults. Whether they ever speak to him again is their choice. I'll support whatever they decide. As for me, I'm done with David. The man I married died 7 years ago, not in a hiking accident, but in the choices he made when he decided money and escape were more important than his family. I'm focusing on healing, on my kids, on rebuilding a life that's based on truth this time. It's not the ending I wanted, but it's the ending we got. And somehow, we'll find a way forward.